Hello everyone and welcome to game number 2 in this best of 3 series between Cubit and King Morgan. Cubit taking game 1, I'm going to use the word decisively. It was a bit of a train wreck for King Morgan from headquarter level 2. Cubit getting a very nice power surge onto iron combined with a network virus onto steel caused basically a permanent slowdown for King Morgan, who really just never caught up for the entire rest of the game at that point. Cubit with far too much of a lead for King Morgan to be able to fight back. And so that was game number 1. Basically the winning move made by Cubit at HQ level 2, 3-ish. It was a really good play. It was pretty disgusting. It was very gross. There was a bit of mind games going on there. Cubit needing to force King Morgan to turn his buildings back on in order to make the network virus accessible. We do have the same combination available this game. In fact, Black Market, look at how terrifying this is. I think I would try and force Scavenger to work despite the carbon situation on this map, which we haven't really taken a good look at just yet. Not a lot of water. That's going to be awkward with 1 high, 1 medium, only 1 adjacency bonus on the medium. This clump right down here could be useful for a scientific player. That's almost tempting this game. And iron is a little bit awkward as well. I mean, there are nice patches of it, but it's kind of away from these other resources. Aluminum, similar situation. Good patches, but well away from the iron, away from the silicon. Just everything's got its own little corner that it wants to hide in for the most part. Neither of these players wants to found just yet. One of them is going to get a huge chunk of change on hitting that button at this point. That starting bonus is getting close to 2,000. Somebody just take it and hit the upgrade button, please. Oh, you guys are ridiculous. I don't even know what's going on here. But this is why we implemented this starting bonus. Whoever founds first is going to have so much money at this point. Cubit finally takes it. He definitely wanted to be abusing his I found second as robotic and buy an adrenaline boost and pump out steel strategy. Instead, he is just going to basically start at headquarter level 2 with an extra $3,000 in cash, basically. He already has all the electronics he needs for HQ level 3. He has set up all of his HQ level 2 buildings. He will not have immediate access to the black market, and I expect King Morgan, in order to stay in the game after that, he is going to want to power surge these almost immediately, I would think. Just shut all this down. Don't even think about it. Get it on out of here before Cubit has a chance to defend it, and move on with the game from there, is how I would look at it from King Morgan's perspective. He has access to the black market in about 12 seconds. I definitely want to see something like that out of him in order to keep this game moving in his direction. He did found Scavenger. Black market is online, not in a position to use it. Instead, he is just going to take his upgrade, and I do not particularly like that play. I would try and be abusing this so hard right now, just to make sure Cubit does not run away with things. As the robot, he is only about $3,000 of resources away from upgrading at this stage of the game. This aluminum coming in, combined with all this ridiculous steel production still being online, should allow him to get there very quickly. Looks like he's committed money somewhere. Into food, I see. Driving up that food price while he waits for this, this upgrade. Makes sense. His opponent is consuming just a little bit of that per second. Kind of exactly the sort of thing you expect to see out of Cubit. Cubit got that auction for about 10,000. King Morgan not particularly interested in the geotherm. I don't expect to see Cubit commit to this anytime soon, but he will have the tile available around like HQ level 3 or 4, probably 4, when he decides to actually take that geotherm. Yeah, 0.3 food a second on Scavenger level 2. That is quite a lot of money. Just a little bit of extra debt, you know, that Cubit's giving his opponent. Every little edge counts. The upgrade is available. Hasn't taken it just yet. Maybe he will put down the geotherm first, although I would be quite surprised. Instead, he's actually choosing to commit to the goon squad, making it very difficult for King Morgan to actually attack him all of a sudden, making sure to keep his tiles protected. And then Cubit is going to head to headquarter level 3. And what are we going to do with that, Cubit? What are we going to see? You've already gotten most of the stuff you need for upgrading. Plenty of geotherms available this game. He already has 1 taken up. And he is just going to head for the remaining good water tile on the map. I doubt he's going to commit to both. No, he just wants more steel. This is a very Cubit play. This is a very Cubit play, and I'm very concerned about the fact that King Morgan has done nothing to attack him just yet this game. Here comes the geotherm. Well, with all this steel production, you can probably get away with it, right? And what are we going to see? Nothing out of the black market still from King Morgan. Does not feel the need to abuse that scavenger advantage, trying to pump those out. Instead, rushing to headquarter level 3. He is not that far behind Cubit in the HQ upgrades. You have to give that to him. And going into solar panels right away. He does not have a lot of debt. This is a very strange 1v1 where neither player really started with a lot of debt, and so power might actually be an option for making money before too long for King Morgan in particular, who kind of skipped on that first auction and did not go too heavily into it. This is where Cubit's plays with the food earlier might actually have some small effect if King Morgan is trying to get to the point of actually making money on power. We do see an EMP has been purchased. It managed to avoid and reveal both goon squads. So that's very, very nice for him. Unfortunately, there are like 2 goon squads down already. With adrenaline boosts available this game, that might end up being a little bit difficult for King Morgan to actually cut through this game. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if he can make that, if he can manage to get through those and keep Cubit from easily establishing an off-world market or 2 off-world markets that have been adrenaline boosted underneath them. Let's see what the situation is right now. Cubit significantly ahead on resources and cash. Likely very, very close to being able to upgrade. Just a couple thousand away from that at this point. Really just needs to be waiting on that steel to come in, and that's what I expect him to do. His steel's coming back online. The EMP did certainly slow him down a bit. Maybe allow King Morgan the opportunity to kind of start working his way back in, but this adrenaline boost is likely going to push him all that far ahead once it actually goes off. There you go. Adrenaline boost on steel. A lot of steel getting knocked down. I kind of like this in some ways, but on the other hand, Cubit doesn't necessarily have to commit to repairing it. It is a lot of power taken away from Cubit. The problem is, I don't know if taking power away from Cubit is all that important in this game, as he's still in that A bond rating, only 7% interest. He doesn't really care all that much, is what it comes down to, about the extra debt he's getting from having his geotherm knocked down. The most this does is take some steel away from him, but I mean, look at this. Cubit's making 7 steel a second. Is that really all that bad? I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, King Morgan, how are you doing? He's got the upgrade available, gonna push to it. Once again, not all that far behind Cubit in upgrades, which is very, very nice for him. He also does have that extra claim floating around this entire time from having founded second. That was basically the benefit that he got from waiting to actually be the one to found second this game. And so I really don't mind that move, despite the fact that it was a big chunk of cash over to Cubit right at the start of the game. Alright, another adrenaline boost purchased up for Cubit. Not surprised in any way once again. Just continuing with his very basic, I want to push through upgrades and I want to build an off-world strategy. Not too surprised to see it, really. Alright, King Morgan is going to try and make a move into farms. He does have some water coming in, but not a lot, and not near as much as Cubit, so he might have to be careful of this. However, Cubit's mostly committed all of his black market into benefiting himself rather than attacking his opponent, so I don't really mind the play necessarily. Another freeze onto Cubit's electrolysis is very nice. King Morgan, how are you looking on upgrading? Still a ways away from it. Still a ways away from it, and I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that these 2 goon squads are still here. Haven't been touched just yet. I don't know how that's going to go, because so much of the 1v1 when adrenaline boosts are in the game comes down to who plants that off-world first. All right. Just a quick little geotherm auction. This one being fought over a lot more than the last one. Cubit going to take on 24,000 debt for that one, it looks like. He's at that triple B bond rating, still just fine, only 10% interest. Nothing to be worried about there. King Morgan, he has paid off most of his debt at this point, but hasn't, I don't believe, successfully made money yet from these solar panels that he committed to on HQ level 3, and so I worry that maybe that slowed him down just a bit, and is the reason he was just a little bit lagging behind by the time they actually hit headquarter level 5. Cubit actually going to commit to that geotherm, concerned about his power production at this point, given that he's got 5 steel mills and 3 reactors, and he was still kind of leaking power for a while. I understand that. He does have another geotherm over here, so with 3 of those, he should be well established on power, moving through the rest of this game without any problems whatsoever. Power Surge and Adrenaline Boost both available for Cubit. He throws the Power Surge at the farms. This one's still working. I don't know why. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't believe it was defended in any way, shape, or form. Power surges might be a little bit bugged right now. Who knows? Yeah. Soren, take a look at that. That should be frozen. We all know that should be frozen. It even has the little freeze animation on it, it looks like. But for some reason, it's still making food. Just a little bit of a bug that I've seen with power surges on occasion these days. King Morgan, is that really... He's got a farm next to 2 glass furnaces. I feel like maybe a little bit of the pressure getting to King Morgan right here. These glass furnaces just kind of burning money. This farm not really doing a whole lot. Very, very strange right there. Adrenaline boost comes down for Cubit. Those are just making steel, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, considering that Cubit likely just going to be scrapping this guy and putting an Offworld right under it, but once he has the steel available to do so. Moving into Electronics Factory sounds just fine. The Offworld is available for Cubit. There it goes. Going to be boosted out. Constructed in about 30 seconds. Plenty of time to get off about a send and a half if he's quick about it, and let's see what kind of money he's going to be making off of that this game. Nothing too great so far, actually. That is not going to be a huge send. It looks like electronics. That may be why he moved into electronics. That looks like it's the most profitable send of this game if you're just looking at the base prices. So if he can kind of pump those out, that might help his Offworlds just be a bit more effective this game. Chemicals also okay at 419, but everything... That strategy is not going to have the payoff that it usually does this game. Let's just leave it at that. Alright, Geotherm Auction. Somebody take it. Nope, nobody wants the Geotherm Auction this game. Maybe King Morgan just a bit too concerned about wanting to make money on power, which I don't think is going to go all that well for him still, although power is still rising in price at night. Interesting thing to pay attention to. And that's likely why he didn't want that geotherm in particular. Alright. What do we got going on now? Those boosted tiles are shifting into food, which I think is weird. Those were reactors at first for King Morgan.
Your stock is being...
And reactors still look plenty profitable to me, so I'm a little bit concerned about these having moved into food, which seems just a little less profitable. Cubit does have an adrenaline boost saved up. Used it pretty much immediately as that last one stopped. That's just more and more launches coming out. King Morgan nowhere close to the Offworld. Once again, I think we're going to see the adrenaline boosted Offworlds just kind of cleaning up this game very nicely in just a few moments. But we'll have to see how it pans out. Boost on the solar panels for King Morgan. He is trying to power through his debt very quickly and managed to make at least a little bit of money, but Cubit only needs about 3 more stocks grabbed up in order to clean up this game. Now, the launches are not making a huge amount of money at any given moment, so King Morgan has a little more time to get there and secure the 3 stock himself and push the game into its later stages, but things are looking more and more grim by the second. He has managed to secure 1, but he just has no more cash sitting around to finish the rest of this up. The power is finally making money, but it's just too little too late at this point. Cubit only needs to hit a control shift down to clean up this game. That's going to do it. And Cubit takes the series 2-0 over King Morgan. Alright, guys. It was once again a pretty solid game out of Cubit. Pretty much almost all of his black market committed to developing himself. 3 adrenaline boosts, 2 goon squads. Exactly the sort of thing I expect to see out of him, especially when he has founded Robotic. There was a bit of a weird start to that game. Everybody waiting so late to get founded. King Morgan trying to make a decent effort to sell plenty of power and make money from it, but he only ended up making about 10,000, maybe, that game. Maybe. Off the power. And this isn't counting anything like interest rates or anything like that for the debt attached compared to the auto sell. So possibly just didn't work out as well as he was hoping. Cubit, on the other hand, he got to the Offworld. He made it work. Had to launch 3 times this game to actually finish it off. Thankfully, the adrenaline boosts definitely allowing him the extra launches that he needed to really clean it up quickly before King Morgan could force the extended game and himself out of majority buyout range. So that was a bit interesting to see that game. What was Cubit sending? Was he actually sending? I'm curious now. He was sending fuel. Was that? Maybe fuel was best in the moment. It was pretty close between fuel and chems at times. I'll give him that. Good enough, regardless, to go ahead and get the job done, so I guess it doesn't really matter Whereas King Morgan, what was he up to? He did have 7 black market purchases, 2 of them adrenaline boosts, but those weren't put to use in quite the same way that Cubit's were. So I don't think they quite worked out as well. 1 underground nuke was used that game, only cost about 3,000 to set it off. I'm not even sure where that was. Might have just been on some iron. Doesn't look like it hit in either of those spots. Might have been on water at some point, like right here. Yeah, the medium water got nuked down to trace. Not a bad idea, but Cubit wasn't really depending on that water at all that game, so doesn't look like it panned out all that well. Alright guys, we're going to hop on out of here. That was a good show by Cubit. He did a good job just shutting down in 2 completely different ways, actually, that he won those games. Still with the exact same in-game goal, realistically, but still a couple of different games out of Cubit. I would encourage anybody who wants to compete with him this tournament to watch those closely and see what they would have done differently about the monster that Cubit was over the course of those 2 games. I'm going to go ahead